have a lot of folks in the call today, and it's good to see that there's a lot of interest for this topic. It's something that's really near and dear to my heart, and I will tell you about that in a while. But as Charlotte said, this is going to be an interactive session, so chime in, ask questions. We really want to make this as relevant as possible to you and your use cases. So I tend to ramble a little bit, so just shout and I'll let you speak. So without further ado, let me introduce myself quickly. So you see the Dutch little flag there in the slides. I'm from the Netherlands, living in Mexico City. And as Charlotte already mentioned, I am a senior journey management coach at TheyDo, which is a real mouthful. But what that essentially means is that I help our customers be very effective with journey management, and TheyDo in particular. So it's not only explaining the tool and the features and so on, but it's really trying to make sure that it gets adopted. And in that space, human behavior is so incredibly important. So I'm very excited to talk about that today. Prior to TheyDo, I have been in your shoes. I've been in customer experience, in service design, innovation, in all these different sectors. But the longest time in aviation, I've been in KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, if that rings a bell to anyone in Amsterdam. And it's an industry that's near to my heart, because every birthday party I would come, I would show up, dinner party, everyone would have feedback on, how the airport and airline experience has been. So that was really beneficial, because I could do some real customer insights digging in the real world. So I've been in both sides. I've been in consulting and in corporate, and now I'm enjoying this software as a service journey. It was very new to me, but for me, it really is the best of both worlds. I get to work with a lot of great customers here at the US side, and I'm still working in a small company that goes very quickly and innovates fast. So it's the ideal place for me. I have a background in psychology and business, and I think this aspect of behavioral change management is really at the intersection of those two things. So I will try to give you some science-backed fundamentals today, but I will also make sure that it's really practical and applicable to your situations that you're in. Randomly, you see some tacos here at this slide. This is because I live in Mexico City. So if you ever visit, let me know. I have a big list of the best tacos here. So yeah, that was something I wanted to share with you. It's too good to not eat tacos when you're here. All right, let's get into it. So what you're seeing here is the Netherlands in a nutshell. Gray skies is green. You see bikes, you see two blonde girls, and the only thing that is missing here almost are tulips. And what you're seeing here as well is a bit of Dutch behavior. And you see someone, instead of taking the original biking lanes, this girl is taking the path of the least resistance. And it basically shows how that actually leads to new behavior. And judging how that little path looks like, she wasn't the only one taking this road. And this is also a very great example of human behavior. Once it's established, it really tends to persist over time. So when we talk about change management and adoption and changing people's behavior, it's really not about forcing change. It's really about making the right behavior the easiest, the most attractive, the most social, and the most timely choice. And what I'm actually essentially explaining here is the EAST framework. It's the behavioral science framework that was discovered or created by the BID company, the BID team in the UK. And it's actually a way to think about how we want people to behave, and how we can create an environment where that new behavior is not just, something different, something, what they're not used to, but it's the obvious way to behave. And that's also what we want to do with journey management, right? We are essentially asking people to do things differently. We are asking them to go outside of that siloed, compartmentalized mindset of, hey, I'm in marketing, or I'm in sales, or I'm in product, but to essentially really flip that around and think differently from the customer that goes through all of those silos. And what we want to do by using the EAST framework is we want to create an environment in your organization or in the team that you're working where journey management, and TheyDo in particular, is not just another task, but it's really the obvious way to work smarter and collaborate better. So what I will do today is I will give you a bit of background, a bit of theory around this East framework. By no means am I a behavioral scientist. I have a lot of interest in this topic. I have a background in psychology and I did some change management courses, but I don't know about all that's out there. And also, behavior in itself is just such a wide topic. Mindset is in there, belief system, context, and so on. So by no means am I going to tell you I know everything about this topic. I do know a lot about this framework. And the reason why we picked this to tell about today, and also why we're using it in our coaching practice, is because it is science backed, but it's also simple enough to use and to apply it in the real world. And that's something we need, right? We don't want to have like this extensive science-proof framework that we are not allowed or able to use. Okay, so without further ado, the EAST framework, it's composed of 4 elements: E for easy, A for attractive, S for social, and T for timely. And I'm going to go into them one by one. And when I'm going to explain this framework, I want you to take this perspective, because some of the things I will tell you, they're going to be so easy, so simple, and so obvious that you're like, yeah, duh. I'm like, I already knew that. But I am curious, like, how many of you are actually thinking about these 4 elements whenever you are asking people to do something differently? How often do you really sit down and evaluate, is it what I'm explaining? Is that easy? Do people really understand what I'm saying? Or am I using this jargon, like journey management jargon that I know well, but like, are others actually aware of that? And if you're setting up ceremonies in your practice or asking people to do certain things, like, are they really like willing to do it? Like, do they find this fun? Do they find this attractive? So just take that perspective whenever I explain this framework, because chances are you can probably improve there a little bit. So that's what I will explain, and then later on I will also go into some use cases of customers that we have seen in the real world, so it can really be connected to journey management moving forward. All right. So let's go with easy. So kind of self-explanatory. If it's a hassle, it takes more energy, chance of failure is higher. I think we all recognize this whenever we set our New Year's resolutions, right? I want to go to the gym 5 times a week. Is that really easy? Are we really doing that? That's really the intention and behavior gap that we are experiencing, right? We want to do something, but the harder it is, the less we do it. And in these situations, some of the greatest return on investments is really to make the desired behavior easy. And with easy, the BIT team really refers to making it easier what needs to be done. So the cognitive effort that it takes, but it's also making it easier to perform the action. So it's a practical effort. And they really found that even the smallest things that make a task more effortful have a very large effect on behavior. So people in general, they just have a strong tendency to do what they always did. It's easier, less friction, and requires less thoughts. So the key here is to help people go with the flow, remove or reduce effort, and choices to make, and make sure that these new habits, they really fit with the default settings, the default way of doing things. Okay, next is attractive, A for attractive. And I think, yeah, we can all testify to this. Like, we're all drawn to things that stand out and look good. First impressions, like if people look good, you get it gets your attention, right? So coming back to that cognitive load that I told about before in easy, our brain really works as follows. So we have these, I hear an echo. Maybe someone did unmute. Is there a question? No? Okay, and I'll continue. So cognitive effort, our brain through evolution has done a great job. We have the biggest brain of all animals out there, but still, like, we try to take shortcuts. We try to make sure that whatever we do is effective, and we try to make the cognitive resources that action and stuff takes as minimal as possible. So we really focus on things that initially look good to us. And I think endless studies have been carried out here, like why, for instance, a red button on a website is better than a gray one and converts more. Well, some of you are probably in UX and know way more than I do about this. But yeah, there is a lot to that attraction, to that's standing out. That's also why, for instance, personalization becoming such a hot topic, right? A personalized message that has your name, that knows, or it has the context of what you're going through, is way more attractive to read than just this generic message that is, one to many, and doesn't really speak out to you. So we can really make behavior more effective and happen over time more often if it is attractive, and if someone feels really good about doing it. So the third one is social. And whether we want to admit it or not, our behaviors are pretty influenced by what others are saying and doing. And I think the rise of the influencers says enough here. We're all buying what they're saying, even though we think we don't. We're so irrational at that point. But when we talk about social, it's really about peer pressure, social norms. We want to do what others are doing. It feels safe and also comfortable to follow what everyone else is doing. And even though people say they want to go against the grain, typically we see that, people don't want to go against the grain. They don't want to be the outsider. They don't want to do things differently. So people feel really comfortable with doing what is considered normal by others. An interesting element here is, for instance, a commitment device. As said before, right, we really fall prey to this intention behavior gap. We want to do something, but we don't always do it. And closing that gap can really be done with social commitment devices. So things that we like social pressure that help us do what we said we would do. So that's why I think all these people out there nowadays, they manifest things, right? They say, like, they tell everyone who wants to know, I'm going to be this and that. And by speaking that out, like, people will hold you accountable for that, because they're like, oh, but last time you said you're going to be this, like, crypto millionaire in Bali, like, where are you at? So this is what happens, like this social commitment devices that you can think about. And we notice that as well in our coaching practice. So if we set up a bi-weekly session with our customers, they know that every 2 weeks they have to report on a bit of progress, right? So coaching, time investment, speaking up in a social setting can really account for this accountability. And then last but not least, it's timely. We tend to respond differently to things depending on when they occur. So it's really important to understand, if you want to influence behavior, when to do it. So apparently we are very open to change when we have a big life event going on. And again, I think that's also like visible in our commercial world around us. If you are becoming a new parent, or if you are getting a new relationship, like those elements, those are life changing, right? They really enforce you to do things differently in your life. And that means you're taking a step out of your existing status quo, meaning you're more open to everything new that's coming at you. So you're more receptive to that change. And we see, like, a lot of, like, baby brands. I just became a mom myself 1.5 years ago, and before that, I was like, I'm never going to buy all that stuff. And now my house is full and filled with all that bullshit. Sorry, I cannot say that word. But so we're really receptive to change, because things are different anyway. So that's the moment to really dive in. So this is really key for you also to think about, like, are there any reorganizations happening? Did someone get a new role? Like, probably chances are that this person is open to doing things differently. So the energy of the person, the energy of the organization is also pretty key here. All right, so those are the 4 elements. Let me pause for a second and see if there is a question, or if someone wants to know more about the framework. And please, please, please raise your hand, speak up. I can also ask someone. Thank you, Adam. Thank
Sure.
you.
I love the idea of making things easy and removing barriers to getting to what you want. So the simplest example I can ever think of is, like, if you want to eat more healthily, then make healthy food more available in your space. So leave a bowl of apples on the countertop so you see them all the time. Put the chips away on the top shelf in the back of the pantry so you can't reach them. Sounds simple, but those little hacks, I think, create those barriers against the bad habits and make it
Hmm.
easier to do the things that you want to do or need to do.
Absolutely. I love that you bring that up. I think this change management and behavioral change has been extensively studied in taking the healthy decision. And indeed, there are even examples that whenever you have, for instance, like healthy food at eye level in your fridge, for instance, it's better to do it there than, for instance, unhealthy food, because that's how simple we are eventually as human beings. Like, I see it, I want it, I take it. That's just so. Thank you for bringing that up. Rizwan, I saw you also raise your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a personal example. So I live in an apartment building which is like 40 stories high, and I've lived here for like 10 years. But what I've noticed is before the borders were kind of open, there were three exit points. You can leave the building from three different areas. And I don't know what the management thought. I mean, they said, you know what, we just want more security. So they started putting more cameras, and they said they can control the traffic flow. So they put a big enclosure, and they made one point of entry and one point of exit. That's it, just for security. And over the last 50 years, I mean, this building has been open, but suddenly security is very important. And we get like these messages by email with that, hey, the pet rules are here, the balcony rules are here every week. It starts with a legal statement at the top. So instead of feeling like I live in a community where I can kind of go around and talk to people and stuff, and it's open field, I can go outside and sit, I feel like I'm like in a prison, literally. But the only freedom is in your apartment, and then you can just like socialize. It's not easy access to other people. Outside world is not easy. I'm carrying luggage, but I have to go through one entrance. So social, it's not attractive to live anymore. It's not easy to access the services. Very simple concepts, which where you live is kind of important, especially in a building environment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the context and the design, the role that design plays in that context, yeah, it's so like important for what you want to happen in terms of behavior. Because, like you said, the behavior that is being triggered here is, yeah, I'll just quickly go in and out, like without making the time to connect to someone, or making it a fun experience and so on. And that's, yeah, I don't think that that's the the behavior they should have wanted to happen, right? Because if anything, if we talk about safety, keeping an eye on each other, it's also pretty important. Anyways, thank you so much. If we don't have other questions, let's continue with applying this to journey management. So I'm going to walk you through the four questions that were also mentioned in the introduction of this coffee chat today. Um, so easy, when we talk about easy, like how can we remove friction and make journey management really the default way of working, and have people use this, like the TheyDo tool, over, for instance, other tools that they're using. Attractive, so what makes it engaging, what makes it rewarding, why is it attractive to be part of journey management in the first place? Well, how can people shine with journey management? Social, how can we create a movement that spreads across teams and makes this the new behavior, right? Like, this is the new social norm, that we collaborate and that we come together every now and then to prioritize and to work on solutions that actually matter to the customer. And timely, like, when are we introducing journey management, and to who, right? Who is going to reinforce the adoption as well? So I wanted to experiment with a poll. So Lotte, I'm sorry for you taking this technical action, and to see, like, what is it that you like. What was again the naming that we used, Charlotte? Sorry, I think it was. Yeah, what of the four aspects are you most interested in?
Here you go.
Basically,
Yeah.
we switched this one bit back and forth. So can we add that to the presentation, a poll? This is our first time, so bear with me and
Yeah.
us.
I just launched it and I see some live votes. So
Okay, I don't see it, so if you can share a screenshot in Slack, that
yeah,
would be great.
we
Or
have
if you
2
can
votes for making it easy and 2 votes for making it attractive. Now, making it easy, currently journey management is seen as a complex to hard to use. 3 votes, 3 votes. So I guess it's between making it easy and making it attractive.
Okay. Okay, lovely. Good to know. Good to know. We will go over all of them. That's just good to know what is like the thing that you're most interested in today. All right. So I've written down some of the coaching practices that we do at TheyDo to make this happen. And I'm gonna go like touch them quickly. But what I really want to do is show you two examples of customers of ours who took several of these tactics to make journey management really successful and effective in their organization. So I won't go over everything in detail because I will talk about it in those use cases. So obviously easy, remove friction, journey management, journey AI. This is a really no-brainer, right? Obviously not everyone is able to use journey AI, but if you can, like the power of demoing journey AI and showing how quickly research can become and be turned into a journey, it will really blow people away. That's what we notice all the time when we do this. But also the pre-configured workspaces, make sure that whenever you go to TheyDo, that they see what they like, right? That they see that they understand it. There is a workspace field, the journey is there. There are already templates. So whenever they want to start mapping, it's there. Make sure that you integrate with the things they care about. If they know that there is already an integration with a tool that they are using on a daily basis, yeah, just starting to use TheyDo because it offers more functionality, because it offers more is pretty much a no-brainer. And then last but not least, like simplifying messages. Yeah, sounding smart probably is not the way to go here. And I also have a hard time doing that because, yeah, you know so much about the practice and you want to do it in the perfect way. And you're maybe a bit of a purist because you love it so much. But yeah, the fancy journey management language is maybe not necessarily something that you should use because your business stakeholders don't care, don't understand, and will just be like, who is this weirdo talking about ceremonies and so on. So yeah, those are some elements to take into account. Attractiveness, personalization. I actually was a personalization journey manager at KLM. And one of the things we did was just make sure that everything was with their name. It was focused on their context. We tried to show only the information that's relevant for them. You can do the same thing when you talk to stakeholders. Our sales team, for instance, has a very different talk track whenever they talk to product versus they talk to marketing versus they talk to engineers and so on. So really think about like what is it that journey management can bring to these specific stakeholders that you're in touch with, and improve really their way of working. And doesn't need to show the full tool, right, or the full journey management practice. If they are only relevant or should be participating in prioritization, then leave the journeys behind. Like you don't even need the word journey. Just talk about, okay, this is the list of opportunities that we see across the business. What do you think is most important? The attractiveness is also in the visually appealing. So whenever you share something and TheyDo, make sure that it looks good. It has images. It has some good metrics in there that speak to them, that they care about, and so on. Very important. And then last but not least, and this is a bit of a controversial one, really focus on one journey to show business value. And I know that previously we also learned here as TheyDo. Previously we were way more advertising that, creating a journey atlas and connecting journeys to one another and making sure you have the overview, the single source of truth. And while there's a lot of value in doing that, the value is probably more for you as a CX department than to other stakeholders, because they just care about one part. They care about operational costs. They care about check-in time. They care about conversion on the website. Make sure that whenever you talk to those folks, like it is centered around their work, the things they have to do anyway. So really show impact fast instead of having this journey graveyard. All right, social. Cannot stretch this enough, but having influential stakeholders endorse journey management or parts of it in bigger town halls, in their speeches, in their annual report, like this is the moment, right? That's where you want to be. They don't have to explain journey management in detail. Probably they cannot even do that, but like have them do a story on how journeys actually helped them improve the metric that they cared about. Right? Really make sure that these folks are there and talk about what you want them to talk about. Obviously, there are some fun things that you can do with the people in TheyDo or in your journey management practice to, create a Mapper of the Month competition. It's a bit of a dull one, but we have seen that this works, right? Sometimes the competition aspect works. And also when we talk about socialness, like there are already like moments where people come together, and talking about not forcing new things and forcing behavior, try to tap in to what is there already. If they already meet every 2 weeks, like let's see how you can use that to bring prioritization forward or mapping forward. It really look at what they're doing today and try to ingrain into that existing habit, into that existing routine. And last but not least, the timeliness. So as said, like if you have a reorganization or a change of course, a change of strategy, this is the moment where people are a bit like, oh, I don't know what to do, what's going to be next, and so on. It is uncertain. People are going to do things differently. Be there with journey management and show what it can do and what it can mean for you. And last but not least, understand also the energy of the organization. Don't push endlessly. Like if something is not working, then the timing is not right today. Try again in 3 months, try again in 6 months, but don't like get into this frustration. You all of you are probably working in large organizations. There's always another team that you can go to and see if they want to buy in. All right, any questions here on these specific tactics? Is there someone who has ever tried to use one of them and wants to share something there? A nice personal example. Jeremy, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know that you have been trying and doing a lot of these things. So maybe you can share a bit of your experience. Sorry, it's just we know you really well.
Yeah.
This is the downside of being
Yes.
a familiar face.
With pleasure, but excuse myself about the noise behind. My kids.
No,
are
we don't
back
hear
home,
anything.
so-
It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I can relate to a lot of things that you have said about, for example, like social, like the competition and kind of a mapper of the month. We have a yearly event about experience, and we are giving awards, and it has been really well received by all the teams. So it starts to be really something motivating people to compete and to do their best on those kind of things. So I think it's for sure relevant. I've also seen that when you have a beautiful journey with picture, it's more attracting to people than just words and stuff in it. So yeah, for sure, I totally agree. Sorry, it's my watch. On the easy part, I think it's more about how to make them understand that it's not something more to their job, but just their job within something new. But sometimes it's really hard to make them change because they are busy. They don't have time to even think about something else. And I personally myself am right now in the timely situation where it's the moment. So I'm actively looking how to to implement it even more than before, as we have this opportunity today to change the way we are working in UX, at least for this. Yeah, and also again, I think something that is really relevant is the existing company rhythms. Of course, they are agile. There are a lot of things. If you are creating something completely new and you don't align with all those methodologies of ways of working, it doesn't work. So the best way is to find allies, people that understand that you are complementary to other things, and then to start having small teams that help go further and align with the whole company frameworks.
Thank you so much. And I think you have been doing a lot of things by the book. So that's great to hear. And I also love how you bring up the timeliness, right? So that can be super frustrating at times, that you're pushing and you're trying and there's just no one really adopting it or accepting it and so on. And yeah, probably that team or that specific use case that you're thinking about might then not be the right for now. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean that you cannot try again, but like, yeah, think about that energy.
Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes you can manage it at small levels in the company. So you have really good integration about it, but then you want to go further, you want to go at scale. Sometimes at scale it's difficult, of course, in a company. A lot of things are moving, so people can move, change teams, and then it's you need to start over again. So it can happen also. And and also the maturity that Chris is talking about in the comments. For sure, you also find some places where the maturity is not yet there. So you need to first tackle those problems of maturity and go back a little bit from the journey, like even for opportunities, how to write them correctly. And then you can move again to the journey and to onboard more people, I think. So the maturity is really important, not only in journey management, but in other disciplines.
And analyzing that maturity can be like understanding how teams work today, right? Like what is their current workflow? Like everyone in an organization thinks about, okay, what am I going to do this year, right? Like, so prioritization, it sounds maybe a bit like this like new thing, but like they're already doing it. So how can you educate them in doing it in a better way as a first step and so on, and just little by little, and force, or not forcing, not, but like enlarge your practice. All right, we have another hand up. Guyen, am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Quinn, thank you.
Quinn.
The timeliness piece feels very relevant. So I work at Autodesk, and our journey management practice, I will say, sort of rises up and fits in spurts every time someone's like, oh, we have to look at a high level view, or like, what's the full experience, or like, how are we making strategic decisions? And every single time someone asks that question, we sort of like scurry to get in front of them, and that's sort of how we've been moving the practice forwards. And you know, a lot of people talk about like the change of personnel and like how it might be that you have to start over. For us, every time we get change of personnel at like the leadership level or manager level, or there's a new team or a new project, for us, it's like redefining yourself when you go off to college. You know, like none of these people know you, none of these people like no, like there's no old way to sort of relearn. It's for new people, actually, we've used that as an opportunity to pretend that this is the way of working, and people just buy in immediately, and they're like, oh, okay. And so like every time someone new comes on, for us, we see it as an opportunity to be like, yeah, just do this thing, and we've already done it, and you should follow this practice. And that's sort of,
this is social as well. It's really social proof. This is how we do things here. This is how we work, right? It's giving people confidence that, hey, if you're going to participate in journey management, you'll be successful because everyone is doing it here, right? And we also tend to use this in our practice every now and then, right? We sometimes come in at customer and say like, you know what, like our most successful customers do this and that. And then people are like, oh, well, you got me. Now I'm all ears. You know, so it's sometimes it's really a little bit of like bluffing there and to get there. So I absolutely love that you're doing that. It's a really, really nice snowball that way.
Yeah. So like, obviously it takes a lot of time. Like, you know, we've been sort of at this for like more than a year now, and trying to build it up. But, you know, it's like a little bit every time someone asks a big question, or we try to be there with the right journey for that question.
Yeah. Love that. I think it connects really well to the use case that I had in mind for you. So I'd love to talk about that a little bit. So what we're seeing here is some strategies a customer of us took, and I'm going to talk a little bit about their background first. So to also give you a bit of inspiration at this, it is possible. So we are working with a very large customer in the US, and this person that we're working with is really an army of one. He is an expert in service design, knows all about journey mapping, and is working in a very, very traditional organization, super siloed, very compartmentalized. People don't work agile. There's no ownership of customer at all. So really, really like the hardest situation, if you'd ask me. And oh yeah, also B2B makes it also sometimes a bit harder. So he took a combination of 3 elements, and without us like pushing this framework to him, eventually we found that this was the red thread, what worked for him. So sometimes you also have to figure it out, and then you see like, oh, this worked for him, but this specific path worked really well for him. So this person we worked with, he noticed a shift in leadership. So there was this new director appointed to a business domain. And he realized that this guy that was coming in was new to the company and he just had a lot coming at him. So he started to offer this director help. So in their role, he tried to help them build a holistic picture, to build really like this, to be the strategic partner for him, almost like to a level of an assistant, to really help to have this person, this director, to understand the full context of that business scope that he was in. So at the back of this conversations that he was having with his director, he mapped out the journeys based on all the conversations he had with the director. He tried to figure out what research they were having in that business domain. So he was really mapping out the context from the different perspectives in the organization, the end customer, the B2B customer that they were working with. So he had this really like end-to-end high overview, but also detailed insights captured all in TheyDo, and was really doing journey management on his own for this specific topic. He never used the word journey once to this director. He never showed TheyDo to this director. He was just there every single time that this director had to perform, do something important, tell a story, and he was just feeding him with all the insights that he was finding through journeys. So he just really deliberately decided not to show the full journey scope to this director, because simplifying your messaging, like this was just he had already so much coming at him, like getting to understand the practice and how it works and how like a purist would do it, like it would just be super overwhelming for him. So the director at a certain point really started to see the benefits, and the person we worked with was eventually able to secure resources, a dedicated journey pod from folks all over those compartmentalized departments to really start working on that challenge, that business domain. It was actually supported by the board. So this is now the first journey pod that is working through the journey way of working with a journey owner, with journey contributors, opportunity owners, and so on. And what I really love about this use case is that this person we were working with was just really building trust, right? Focusing on the director's needs, right? Demonstrating impact and gradually introducing the practice and concepts of the practice without pushing, okay, we are doing journey management, you need to build journeys, you need to set a governance and all these like overwhelming things. But just like showing the value, showing the benefits, and at a certain point show like, hey, yeah, the way I was advising you, it came from all of this work that I've been doing in the back end, and now this is really becoming a blueprint, for other departments to work as well. So it's really about capitalizing that fresh start, personalizing towards what this director was tasked with, that business domain, and also simplifying the message, not overdoing it in terms of theory, really being very practical and helping as a strategic partner almost to make this director be successful. And if anything, like, what motivates us, what is attractive to us, it is when we can shine, right? If we can take the next step, and if you can be that person to lift important people up by giving advice from the journey management practice, that's really a way to get your foot into the door and roll out your practice after. I'm not saying that this company is now working fully journey based. I mean, that's still a long road to go. But I love that this person on his own was able to get at least to the first stepping stones by taking this approach. Any questions or feedback? People have experienced similar things. I do see, by the way, a question in the chat from Amanda, so I can also talk a little bit on that one. Is Amanda still on the call? I think she is. All right, so rehashing her question a little bit. So you're saying you get a lot of resistance with implementing journey management because the problem is that product designers don't see it as added value because they have Miro. And then we have product managers who are already working on other tools to prioritize with lists and so on. And it's only valuable if everybody is using it. So you've mentioned the benefits of TheyDo, but it doesn't really change the situation. So you're a bit stuck. So my question would be like, it's great that these different teams have their different tools, but eventually these designers have to also collaborate with those product managers, right? So I would want to know a little bit more about that handover, right? Like where in that handover is it going really well and where do you see challenge? Because if there is a challenge in that handover, would there be a way to make it more easy, more attractive, more social, more timely for these people to make eventually that flow better? So Amanda, I don't know if you have something to add or a question that you want to add. I want to talk a little bit more about the context. Amanda, are you there? Okay. All right. Well, anyway, let's just try to see whether one of these like 4 aspects can help you in making that handover easier. Because we always have to deal with existing ecosystem, existing tools that people are using, and by no means TheyDo is going to be the only tool in your organization. I think that's not realistic, but try to see where it can connect teams to one another. And that's because that's often the thing, like tools really cater to specific departments. Jira or whatever, Azure is for developers, we have Qualtrics for insights, we have whatever, Miro for design, or Figma for design. And the question is like, how can you tie this back together, and how can you make that behavior of connecting easy, attractive, social and timely? So that would be my advice. I have one more use case in store for you, and then I think I'm going to let you go a little bit early today. But this is a nice example of a big customer of ours, also in the US, who is in the insurance space. It's an experienced team. They have about 10 FTE, and they have the luxury that their organization really works agile already. So they're already working in pods. They're already working in cross-functional teams. And our stakeholder, the person that we work with, she is super dedicated, very diligent mapper. And she realized that there was a lot of like energy in the organization. So the timeliness aspects even around increasing call volume. Decreasing call volume, because it was just a very costly thing in the organization. And a lot of those agile pods were already tasked with solving that issue. So that's really like understanding like what would be the impact, right? Like what would be the key impact and the energy that the organization cares about. It was called reduction in this specific example. So what she did is instead of having her 10 experienced designers work on all these different projects, she just said like, let's tackle this one first. Let's take our 10 FTE and just really, really go nitty gritty about this specific topic, this specific metric that we want to improve. So she and her team started to realize that there was a lot of customer research and all the different personas about journeys, like very much outside of the call center journey, things that were just going unwell, like frustrations customers were having, and reasons for them to start to call the call center. So she was mapping out all those journeys with her team, and she used Journey AI as well for this. And she showed that to other teams, like, hey, we're sitting on this pot of gold, right? Like this call center transcript department, they know why people are calling. They know what the problem is. They know what the experience, where the experience basically sucks and where we should improve. So she showed that to stakeholders and so on, and really had their focus really on that metric. So with that, then like with her team, she was really able to show results. And then eventually, she had this high level stakeholder noticing what they were doing, and a person started also sharing this in storytelling ways to the wider audience. So she could really like shine with all the work that they've been doing. All the nitty gritty detailed journeys that they created actually helped all those other journey pods to work on the right things to decrease that call volume. So again, like I think focus efforts, try to see where there is, energy in the organization, show business impact fast. Better to center around one thing in the beginning than just try it out everywhere and you're just spread too thin to really make impact. And this use case is now really being used as this like, shiny thing where everyone wants to be a part of, because that's the attractiveness, how it works, right? We all want to be part of something that's successful, that looks good on you. All right. Well, we had a Q&A slide here. I'm not sure if someone has a question, but I encourage you to ask them here today. But I also want to make sure that you know that I'm in the community, in the Slack community. So if you have a follow-up question or you come across something in your organization, like, shit, I don't know what to do. How can we maybe use, behavioral design, change management to get to the result that you want to see? Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer your questions also personally. So, not the entire community reads along. So, yeah, you can always join that community and I'll be happy to answer. We have a question. Aristo, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. I was just wondering, because you're mentioning AI, but I'm actually more interested to figure out where you're standing in terms of how AI is going to impact the back-end research, data gathering. Bit how can we become more intertwined with AI without losing ourselves? Because I feel like we're near the moment that we can just ask AI to really optimize certain designs, and I'm wondering how we can keep our humanistic impact, let's say.
Very hot topic. Thanks for raising that. We actually had a call about this yesterday. Well, how we see AI evolving, and I'm, by the way, not an AI expert, so we have people in our company that know way more about AI, but how we are treating this as coaches, as experts in the field, is that what we notice a lot within the customers that we work with is that they have a hard time defining where to spend their effort. So we have this full life cycle of, experiences that happen. Yeah. Am I gonna, like, talking about the airline example, right? Like, am I gonna focus my efforts on improving the check-in experience, or am I focusing on the in-flight food and beverage? Like, what is it? Like, what is it? There's just so much, which basically like paralyzes us a little bit, is analysis paralysis, right? There's so much, we know so much, we listen so much, we learn so much from customers. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And what we are seeing more and more is that we really try to use the AI to help decide where to build. So especially if you don't have a framework yet, and if you don't have an understanding yet of how your full customer experience lifecycle looks like, just let AI build it for you. Just throw in all the research that you have from call centers, and then eventually what it will do is it will like leave space open for phases and steps that there is not much research about, right? So it only will connect the research that is connected to those phases and steps. It will add to the framework. So by doing so, all of a sudden you have this full picture of, like, where do we actually have insights? Where do we get feedback from customers? Where do we know it's really, really bad? So it is more of an unbiased way to let the customer and the research decide where we're going to spend our efforts in terms of optimizing a journey. Because talking about it, like, yeah, there is definitely a role for humans to play. The only thing is, like, there's just more like time available for this hard work, for this behavioral change, for getting people together and actually optimizing the journey as it is today. And even though there are like quick wins with AI, like Journey AI, like generative AI that builds maybe, I don't know, designs for you in a better way. I mean, I'm 100% sure we're getting there soon, but then still the connection, the making sure that people are on the same page, that it still gets launched, that we're measuring it, and that we're updating it, adapting it along the way, I think is still something that AI won't be doing in the foreseeable future. So yeah, again, like to summarize, so like, I think we're sitting on this pot of gold with information and we just don't know what to do with it. Let AI do that work for you. And based on that, you can focus and zoom in and spend your effort and your resources on that specific pain point that you decide to solve. And then absolutely use all the quick wins that AI has to offer in improving that journey by creating designs, by coming up with better ideas. Like, yeah, I mean, I also use ChatGPT sometimes for storylines. I can assure you that some of the things I shared with you today, ChatGPT helped me with. So I think that's just something we shouldn't be ashamed of. It's just a smarter way of how we use our time. And now I can do a lot more compared to what I used to be able to do. But Charlotte, maybe we have Justus joining again in one of our coffee chats, who is basically our product manager on AI. He probably will shoot me for this answer and knows way better where this field is heading and how we can use it moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. He was a great guest in the previous session. So yeah, everyone who is interested in this coffee chat, we're hosting them weekly, and bi-weekly we invite our TheyDo experts. So we make sure to join the community, and we share more details here. All right, if there's no more questions from you guys, I give it one last one last ask. If anyone wants to raise the hands. And yeah, if not, I would also invite you for the upcoming coffee chat in the community that is happening in 2 weeks on February 20th, and we will have a special guest, Ting Ting Lin, which is our principal journey management coach, and she will be talking about the journey frameworks, really also hot topic. We'll share more details in the community and also in the follow-up email. But yeah, Rosanne, do you wanna?
I just can only endorse Ting Ting. She is my great colleague. She is very knowledgeable, knows way more than I do. So I would definitely sign up for this chat, and you won't be disappointed.
All right. Thank you very much, Rosanne, for sharing your knowledge and expertise with our community. This was a wonderful session. And also thank you for all of you who joined us today. And we hope to see you at the next session. So
thank you so much, everyone. And Jeremy, sorry for putting you on the spot. I really enjoyed your answer. We'll do it again.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Have a nice rest of the day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.